So once you get the hang of it, please join me. Let's try that again.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So nice to be with everyone here that's with us in our sanctuary, and we know so many through our live streaming and our call-in service, and for Shabbat Mishkan mornings, members of this congregation are also joining us through a Zoom feed. Hello, we see you very clearly next to us, and we're so happy to be together on this humid, cloudy Shabbat morning. Rain is threatening, but not yet has fallen. And this is the last Shabbat of August, 2021, which is hard to believe. But the good news about it being the end of August, as many of you know, it is gladiola season. And so I brought some gladiolas here. The synagogue I grew up in, they would have fresh flowers every Shabbat. Anyone grew up with a synagogue where they would have a flower committee or flowers on the bima? We have beautiful flowers on the bima too, but not necessarily always seasonal ones. So I thought I'd bring some gladiolas. White is, as many of us know, a traditional Shabbat color, and the red tried to complement the sanctuary. I think it's a good match. I get a thumbs up from Phyllis. So it's a nice thing to do this time of year if you have access to gladiolas in a tall vase. Because they're just sort of as a friend of mine, Rabbi Janet Roberts said, it's a sign of the season. Like we don't always get a sense of the season in our modern world, but gladiolas, they're only out this time of year, and then as they get bigger, as they mature, the flowers grow. Like you see at the top, the flowers haven't bloomed yet, but they will. And to me, that's just a wonderful metaphor for what we hope for all of us, that over time, the flowers will bloom, but particularly feeling that way during what was a very, very heavy week in our world. And that's very much with me, Jenna. I don't know how you've experienced the news, particularly in Afghanistan, and particularly with the attack that killed hundreds. It's very much on my mind, and so how nice it is for us, and particularly I'm feeling this, to be able to be together for Shabbat. I'm Mo Salth, and I'm so happy that our Cantor intern, Jenna McMillan, is with us to help us do that together. We're going to turn to our prayer book to page 74 for words, traditional morning prayer opening of a service, Ma Tovu.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani לך ביראתך. מה טובו, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טובו אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל.
We continue on page 78 with the words of Elohai Neshama, these words we say each morning, thanking God for breathing life into us. So we join together.
Elohai, Elohai Neshama, Elohai, Elohai Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Repeat after me.
Ata, Ata, Virata, Ata, Yitzata, Ata, Ata, Nefachta, Nefachta bi.
Elohai.
Elohai, Elohai Neshama, Elohai, Elohai Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi, Tehorahi. Ve'ata, Mishamera, Ve'ata, Mishamra, Ve'ata, Mishamera, Mishamera Bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai Neshama, Elohai, Elohai Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
We now chant responsively on page 80 with our daily miracles, Nisim B'chol Yom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Amen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has welcomed me into this Jewish community.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen.
Amen. This part of the service is meant to help warm us up for our prayers. I've been rubbing my eyes. I've been kind of just getting into the prayer spirit. We're not supposed to be necessarily jumping in at 60 miles an hour for the Baruch Hu right away. We have these morning prayers to help us become present in our prayer space. And this prayer helps us do it too, reminding us of the blessings that are in our life. And as is a custom that we do at Central Synagogue, I want us to think about other blessings that might be true for us, blessings that we experience today, this week, maybe on a special basis, like a one-time blessing we've recently experienced, or something that happens every day. I want to open it up to our members who are joining us on our Zoom call, see if anyone wants to unmute and share a blessing that you're thinking about on this Shabbat morning. I see Cynthia maybe raising her hand. Why don't you unmute Cynthia if you can and share what's on your mind. Oh, we can't hear you yet. Let's hold on for a second. I think you're unmuted, but let's try again. We're still having some problem. Oh, hold on, Cynthia. Let's see if someone else wants to say something, maybe Monica, and see if we can hear Monica. No, Monica. Okay, so why don't we wait on you guys while maybe some folks in the congregation will share, and then we'll see if we can have the blessing of creating sound over technology. No obligation, but does anyone want to share a blessing that's on your mind this Shabbat morning here in the congregation? Andrew? We're going to use the mic so that everyone outside of the congregation can hear us.
Hi, everyone. I'm student Rabbi Andrew Mandel, and I had the blessing of spending pre-Shabbat with Shani Ben Or and our members of the neighborhood for a little block party, and it was just such beautiful music, so the blessing of beautiful music.
That's awesome. Yes, for those of us that do not know, member of this team that is finishing up her studies as a rabbi and cantor in Jerusalem, Shani Ben Or, is in New York City and will be part of our high holiday worship. So what a blessing. Thank you. Anyone else want to share something in the congregation? I'll share that we have a cousin who just finished college, who's moved to New York, and she's staying with us in our apartment. And not only is it a blessing to have Chloe staying with us, but I don't know if this is true for anyone else. When we have guests over, our house becomes cleaner because we put more work into cleaning it. So we now have a cleaner apartment, and we're so happy that Chloe's going to be with us. I see technical events happening here. Phyllis is going to share something. Yeah.
Oh, I have a friend who has been very ill, and she has just come home to her apartment.
Oh,
truly a blessing.
That's so nice to hear that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, that reminds me of just the blessing of just being able to go about our days if we're lucky to do it. And sometimes I forget that I can just wake up and go. And thank you for reminding me. And happy to hear about your friend Phyllis. All right, we're going to try again with Cynthia. Let's see if you can unmute, if we can hear you. And no luck on that. Well, what do you think we should do, friends from our technical team? Reboot. That sounds like a high holiday message, Eric. Very nice. Well, you know what? We should have checked the sound before we started services, but I did not think of doing that. So why don't we just give our technical team one more moment to try to figure this out, and then if not, we'll go on. But let's just pause. It's okay to pause on Shabbat. And the technical teams are a blessing. Can you turn off your mic for a second? Who's our tech today, do you know? All right, Will, what do you think? Oh, I don't see Will. I think he might have, Will, are you there? Or our tech Will might have run down to try to make some magic happen. And no luck on Cynthia. Try again one more time, Cynthia. All right, so what we're going to do is what do you think, Will? I see you now. Keep going, he says, and we'll try to figure it out for a later part of the service. Apologies to our friends who are on technology.
Feel free to share your miracle in the chat so we can read
Yes,
them.
we have a Facebook chat in particular where everyone who is on Zoom or not on Zoom, if you want to go there to share your thoughts. And we're going to continue with. Oh, you know what? I want to say one other thing that's important to share is that both Jenna and I were tested for COVID just to make sure that we are negative, and we are negative. Mm-hmm. We have put space throughout the sanctuary so that people can be at a distance. We have these, you don't see them if you're not in the sanctuary, we have these industrial strength air purifiers that are making sure we're as safe as can be in the sanctuary. So it's important for us to let everyone on the live streaming community know that's why we're unmasked. And we've asked everyone in the sanctuary to be masked just for extra care. All right, let's continue.
We continue on page, oh, you have a question?
I got that. You go with
Okay. We continue on page 97 with Ashrei. Please join me.
Ashrei, Ashrei, Yoshvei, Veitecha. Od Yehalelucha, Od Yehalelucha, Ashrei, Yoshvei, Veitecha. Od Yehalelucha, Od Yehalelucha, Va'anachnu Nevarech Ya Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, El Bekocho, Hallelujah, Berkia Uzo, Hallelujah, Big Furotav, Hallelujah, Kirov Gudo, Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, Beteka Shofar, Hallelujah, Benever Vechinor, Hallelujah, Betovu Machol, Hallelujah, Beminim Ve'ugav, Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, Bitzitzalei Shama, Hallelujah, Bitzitzalei Tshuva, Kol Hanshama Tehaleya, Kol Hanshama Tehaleya. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
We're on page 109. Let's read together in the middle of the page in English. 3 things there are together in my eye that keep the thought of thee forever nigh. I think about thy great and holy name whenever I look up and see the sky. My thoughts are roused to know how I was made, seeing the earth's expanse where I abide, the musings of my mind when I look inside. At all times, O my soul, bless Adonai. Please be seated.
Page 110. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotzei or uvorei choshech oseh shalom uvorei et hakol Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotzei or uvorei choshech oseh shalom uvorei et hakol Or chadash al Zion ta'ir v'nizkechu lanu mehera leoro Or chadash al Zion ta'ir v'nizkechu lanu mehera leoro Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. We continue with the words of we are loved in your order of service. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us, even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us, even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst
midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that need us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת, להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. As we continue with our song of redemption, we ask the question, who is like you, Adonai? Who can match your majesty and splendor? Micha Mocha can be found on page 122. Micha Mocha Bailim Adonai, Micha Mocha Nedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot Ose Fele Adonai Yimloch Leholam Vaed, Shira Chadasha Shibechu Gehudim Leshimcha Sfataya Yachad Kulam Hodu Vehim Lechu Ve'amru Adonai Yimloch Leholam Vaed, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed. Zu Yisrael Kuma, Kuma, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael Ufetichiru Mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael Gohalinu, Gohalinu, Gohalinu Adonai Tzevot Shema Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Gal, Gal, Gal Yisrael. Yai la 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 la, ya la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la la, Adonai Sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehiyatecha. Yai la 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 la, ya la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Kol Nei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. Yai la 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 la, ya la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la la. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ Adonai Adonenu, Mahdi Shimcha Bechol Haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo, Echad Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu, Brachamav Leinei Kochai, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai Leolam, Elohayich Zion, Lidor Vador. Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah,
Let's turn in our prayer books to page 258. Here we find R.C. Doer's prayer for our nation. Let's read aloud at the bottom of the page. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and in spirit.
Amen.
Amen. We continue now with the prayers that make our worship complete, the individual prayers that are found within our hearts and our minds. Will do so silently. May remain standing or be seated as is your custom.
Achashati meit Adonai, Achashati ota אבקש. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש. שבתי, שבתי בבית אדוני, שבתי, שבתי כל ימי חיי. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש. לחזות בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם אדוני, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. One thing I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אחת שאלתי אותה אבקש. We now rise in honor of our Torah as we sing together, Hear, O Israel. Hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Hear, O Israel, hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Hear, O Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadolul Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah, Hallelu, hallelu, hallelu. Hallelu, hallelu, hallelu. Hallelu, hallelu, hallelu. Hallelu, hallelu, hallelu.
Please be seated. We're at the end of the cycle of the reading of the Torah with only a few portions left. This week's portion is Ki Tavo, and it has a number of highlights in it. Rabbi Sarah Berman spoke so beautifully and movingly last night about the beginning of the portion and the rituals connected to that. If you haven't heard her teaching and what she helped protect for our community in terms of our archives, I encourage you to listen to her teaching on videotape at the centralsynagogue.org website after Shabbat or during Shabbat later. Later on in the portion, as I mentioned briefly last night, there's a list of curses and blessings, and it's an interesting section of the portion. It's part of, I would say, a broad theme that's happening towards the end of the Torah, where our hero, Moses, is not going into the land of Israel. And Moses is, on behalf of God, and really with partnership of God, communicating to the Israelites the playbook of everything they need to know, that he prays they remember when he is not there and they are in the land of Israel. And this section of the Torah, I think, is meant in terms of this narrative to really seal that message. And actually, there's a number of portions where Moses has different techniques where, and the narrative has these techniques where this message is trying to be sealed. And one of those techniques is to scare the Dickens, potentially, out of the Israelites, that if they don't follow the rules of the tradition, there'll be a tremendous punishment, there'll be tremendous curses. And that is in this section, and that's why I think the curses section is larger than the blessing section. The question is, what's motivating, I think. I don't really think these are actual curses that will befall the Israelites. I think this is an attempt for Moses and God to inspire them through fear to follow the tradition. Maybe also to reflect in a very kind of dramatic poetry of the curses, not the actual curses that will happen, but if we know if we're not following the commandments of our tradition, if we're not honest, if we're not caring, it'll land us in jail. It'll estrange us from our family and friends. It will ruin our soul, or at least damage our soul. These are not curses that are divinely given. This is just the reality of what happens when we live. So I think there's some truth in the curses that are there. And the opposite, of course, is true. The blessings will be true in our lives. Again, not because God is going to say, here they are, Andrew, all the blessings because you followed all 613 commandments. Because when we follow these commandments, when we love our neighbor as ourselves, when we remove stumbling blocks before people who are with us, when we take care of ourselves, when we protect the earth, that's going to result in so many blessings. And it's the custom, of course, of the Jewish world to focus on the blessings and not the curses. Sometimes you'll hear some curses, some threats, some warnings, but mostly we talk about the blessings, and so you'll not be surprised that for the Torah portion this morning, we have selected some of the blessings for Jenna to chant. They're from chapter 28, verses 3 through 6. They're actually the ending section of the blessings. Some of you have them on a page here. If you don't have the documents in front of you, you can find them if you're online at the centralsynagogue.org live streaming page under the hyperlink that says Mishkan. And I love the ending blessing, Jenna. I just love it so much. It's so, it's poetic in Hebrew, it's poetic in English. In Hebrew, Baruch atah b'vo'echa, uvaruch atah b'tzeitecha. Blessed shall you be in your coming, and blessed shall you be in your going, which, is sort of like one of the ultimate ways of summarizing it all. May you be blessed when you arrive. May you be blessed when you depart. The whole circle of idea of wherever we are, may you be blessed. And when I lived in Denver, Colorado, before my rabbi days, I attended a wonderful synagogue, Temple Sinai, and the rabbi at the time, now the emeritus Rabbi Ray Zwerin, ended every service with this prayer. So some congregations have a ritual of ending every service with a blessing. Every service, Rabbi Zwerin would just say these words. And he was such a dear rabbi and such a wonderful teacher. And I just have that feeling of being in the congregation, hearing him say it, and just thinking about what that could mean for us. And for me, about being blessed in arriving and blessed in departure. And so I'm so glad we get to hear these words from the original text this morning. I'll invite those of us that are here, if you'd like, to rise and join us in saying the blessings before the reading of the Torah this morning.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Baruch atah ba'ir, uvaruch atah basadeh. Baruch peri vitnecha, ufri admatcha, ufri vehemtecha, shigar alafecha, ve'ashterot tzonecha. Baruch tanacha umishartecha. Baruch atah bevoecha, uvaruch atah b'tzeitecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Such beautiful chanting, Jenna. Thank you so much. In the presence of our Torah, it's customary to say a Mishaberach for healing for those we know, for those we do not, who are in need of healing at this time. We keep in mind this Shabbat morning in particular, those who are suffering in Afghanistan and in Haiti and in all places near and far. And invite you in the congregation and those that are with us in the congregation from your home to say aloud or in your hearts right now the names of those you are praying for healing this Shabbat morning. We'll do so now.
David Jaffe.
Ami Shaberach for healing.
Mi sheberach avotenu mikol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikol habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal
We'll now raise the scroll in honor of its teachings and its lessons. It's a little bit lopsided, so.
You got it?
Oh gosh, I forgot to do my shoulder stretches. So we'll see how it goes, everyone. It may not be for long. Okay. Ready?
V'zota Torah
Asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael.
Al pi
Adonai v'yad Moshe. Please be seated. Well, we're in this month of Elul, this month before the new Jewish year, and it's a preparatory month, our tradition says, for us to prepare for the spiritual and personal work that is connected with entering a new year. This beautiful section from Psalm 27 that Jenna sang right at the end of our silent prayer, which is known by its first words, Achat Sha'alti, is part of this ritual, this sense of us appealing to the divine, to get closer to the divine. One thing I ask of Adonai, the only thing that I seek, to live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, and to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai and to frequent God's temple. This words from again, the Hebrew Bible, and this idea of drawing near to God. And another big part of the holidays is to, and these days of Elul, is to think about what has my life been like, what reflections might I have, and what lessons might I take from it going forward into this new year, and to take a serious and honest assessment and review of our life's time. And that theme you'll hear throughout the liturgy. Tonight is a ritual called Slichot, which in this sanctuary at 9:15 this evening, some of us clergy will be leading the rituals of Slichot, hearing the melodies of the High Holiday, reading some of the liturgy that is throughout Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur with this theme of honest reflection and review, with the hope of going forward into the new year. And in that spirit, I share with you this morning a poem by Yehuda Amichai, who is, which is, for those of you in the congregation, you should have received a paper when you walked in. If not, they're in the back again. For those of you online, if you want to find this poem, you can find it at centralsynagogue.org on our live streaming site. The live streaming page under the section that's called Mishkan. I'm going to read you the poem aloud. And Yehuda Amichai, of blessed memory, was the poet laureate of Israel during his life, and is a particular favorite of mine and many others as well. And this poem is called "I Walked Past a House Where I Lived Once." He writes, "I walked past a house where I lived once. A man and a woman are still together in the whispers there. Many years have passed with the quiet hum of the staircase bulb going on and off and on again. The keyholes are like little wounds where all the blood seeped out, and inside, people pale as death. I want to stand once again as I did, holding my first love all night long in the doorway, When we left at dawn, the house began to fall apart. And since then, the city, and since then, the whole world. I want to be filled with longing again till dark burn marks show on my skin. I want to be written again in the book of life, to be written every single day till the writing hand hurts. So as I like to do, if you'll be interested in doing, I like to talk about these poems, what they might mean to us, particularly in this period where we're asked to take a sober reflection on the past to help us move forward. So this is, of course, a poem. It is subjective. It's for us to mine wisdom as we wish from it. So there is no one right answer, of course, or even 12 right answers to what is to be taken from this poem. But I want to invite us, if you'd like, to share. We're going to give our friends from the synagogue who are on Zoom a chance to unmute. If you'd want to raise your hand and share a comment and see, we'll have our friend Ami start. Ami, by the way, where are you this day?
I'm in Caesarea, Israel. Good morning and Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
All right. I had a hunch that you were still in Israel. So good afternoon to you, and we're so glad to see you. And we're so glad Will and our team has gotten the audio working. So thank you. So what do you think, Ami?
So, here in Israel, and I think we Jews everywhere, we're pretty nervous. We get nervous about different things. But especially in Elul, towards Rosh Hashanah, we get really nervous. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we do better? How can we be better people? And how can we make the world a better place? And I think especially, this poem, as well as the Parashat Shavua that we read in Kitavo, all these blessings and curses, we sort of think reflectively around Slichot and around sort of summarizing the year. We're about to conclude the year. I know not the calendar year, but the Jewish year. And so, this poem and the parasha as well, we sort of take tally. We take stock of what we did well and what we didn't do well, both on a personal level, on a family level, on a community level, on a national level. And not just here in Israel, all around the world, but especially you feel it here in Israel. You walk in Yerushalayim, you walk in Bnei Brak, you walk even around here. We do our morning walks on the beach, and people are telling you about, what's happening in their lives. Now with Delta, it's more complicated, or Lambda, or whatever Greek letter you're following. But, I think this poem is amazing, and the parasha as well, with all these blessings and curses. And it's very fitting that it comes so close to Rosh Hashanah. So I'll stop there. I can talk a lot more, but nice to see everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Thanks, Ami. Yeah, I think if we're taking our traditions charge seriously, it's a serious time, and it's a meaningful time, and there's a range of emotions that we might be feeling as we assess what has happened, and I like what you said, Ami, in terms of not just assessing for ourselves. I think we have to start with ourselves. I think that's what the holiday asks us to do, but then expand out as well in terms of like how are we doing as you said, like as the circles that we live in, our families, our friends, our city, our nation, our world, because our tradition empowers us to figure out if things need to be worked on. We should be working on it. If things need to be continued, if we're doing things well, we should be repeating those as well. So other thoughts from our friends on the Zoom link, if you have one. Monica, I see a little hand on my screen, so when you unmute, we can hear you. Nice to see you.
Yes, that's my hand. I'm glad you can hear us now. So I think it's interesting that Amichai compares this idea of going to look at your old house and the memories of the person you were at that house versus how you're going to look at yourself in, asking for forgiveness of others and of God for the things you've done wrong in the book, for the book of life, to be written into the book of life. I only lived in 2 homes with my parents. So both of those places hold a lot of memories for me, good and bad. And when I pass those houses, which is very rare because I don't go upstate very often, it brings back for me those things. And it's kind of like what we're supposed to be going through in Elul, in looking over the year, in who we are, what we've done right, what we've done wrong. Are we progressing? Did we meet the things that we set, the goals we set for ourselves last year at Elul? Did we accomplish those in any way? And I think that's a difficult thing to assess. For me, the high holidays, as much as it's a joyous time, it's a painful time. My mother died around the high holidays, so that sort of factors in. But also, it's painful to face yourself to the things that you might have accomplished or might not have accomplished.
Thanks, Monica. I appreciate your honest reflection and just how you describe it. Your thoughts on the poem. It makes me think that it's. If you really think about doing what you did, which is to think about what's it like to be in front of your old house, and what I think about what it's like to be in front of the places where I had lived previously in different stages, there is a strong visceral response, and I kind of think that's kind of what we should be striving for during this month of Elul and the high holidays. We should be striving for that. These are the things that really worked. And I appreciate you being honest with us, Monica. You said the things that were really, there were some good memories and some difficult memories. And that's kind of what we should be doing, not to beat ourselves up, not to, like I said, in the reading of the portion, we don't focus on the curses, we focus on the blessings, but we can look at the things that have not gone well, that are difficult, and to try to figure out what we can do about that. And that is serious work for a lot of us, definitely is for me. So appreciate your thoughts on that too, Monica. Do you want to add one more thing, Monica? Is that what I'm seeing, or no?
Oh, no, I just forgot to take my hand down.
It's okay, good. Ed, I see you have a hand raised.
So actually, Monica said everything that I wanted to say. And the only thing I would add is the connection of this poem to Rabbi Berman's sermon yesterday is very compelling to me, and the sort of the requirement that we spend Elul in remembering, not just, I think, necessarily just a year gone by, but time gone by and where we are and how we got there. I stop by my old house whenever I'm near it, and my daughter is sick of me pointing out all of the places I used to live, so I try not to do that anymore. But this month, it really has particular resonance, and Rabbi Berman explained how important it is that we recover our history and our past, and we understand it. And I've been thinking about that since last night.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Anyone else from the Zoom call want to share a comment?
I will.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Marnie. I want to echo a little bit of what Monica said. I was thinking about it, though, in terms of 2 different houses, the home I grew up in and the one that I shared with my fiance, whom I lost almost 40 years ago, and how that broke my heart at the time. And it took me a long time to get over it. And I'm coming back to life now, and it's also coming up on the York side of my mother. And her house is still there, but it's in dilapidated condition. And that breaks my heart as well. And I'm thinking about how sometimes those curses really are necessary, because some people just won't do the right thing unless there is a serious consequence, despite all the prayers, all the blessings, all the everything. But I am very grateful this year to be a part of this synagogue and this community. And I think that's a huge blessing. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. Thank you. You know, what I hear in your words is what I hear at the end of the Amichai poem. You know, he's clearly suffering and having an emotional response. I know you are as well. But what does he say at the end? He says, I want to be written again in the book of life, to be written every single day till the writing hand hurts. So even though he's reflecting and it's difficult and it's even painful, there's a will to go forward that I hope we all get to. Because sometimes the pain and the pain of our experiences, the pain of our own behavior, when we see, oh my gosh, look what I did, we might say, I can't, you know, we might be paralyzed by it. But he, at the end, is not paralyzed. Even with all the difficult that he reflects on in his poem, he says, I don't exactly know what this means, but I love, it's not just, he doesn't just say, I want to be written again. He says, I want to be written every single day till the writing hand hurts. And who's the writing hand? Is it him who's writing his own story? Is it God who's writing? Again, there's no answer to this, but I think for me, initially I thought it was God, but in hearing these comments today, I'm like, well, maybe it's him. It's his will to find a way forward. Comments from the group that's in the synagogue. Well, I have to get my terminology. We're all in the synagogue. We're just, some of us are sitting in the synagogue, some of us are sitting at home in the synagogue, if that makes sense. Okay, some thoughts. Eric, do you want to start?
One of my favorite movies is A Wonderful Life. And I constantly think what George Bailey was going through.
Yes.
And I go there constantly in my brain. I don't know what effect the world will be without me.
Yes.
Doing the necessary.
I love it. I love it. I love that you mentioned that movie. This past Tuesday, we had Rabbi David Ingber as part of our high holiday boot camp. He referred to that movie. Amichai talks about the light turning on and off. I actually think he's talking about in his old house, there was a light that just kept turning off, but it reminds me of like the knob in the movie that George complains about at the beginning, and then he's happy at the end that he kisses the broken staircase because he's just so happy to be alive. Other thoughts? Yeah, you're welcome.
I just see the house as the past. The past is full of wonderful things that we have gratitude for, and tough things that we've lived through.
Yep.
But I find this poem extremely hopeful, and I take it a point of view from my point of view of a long life, but still to continue to want to be in the book of life every day.
Yeah.
I just find it a very hopeful.
Yes. I thought of you this week, Phyllis, because the museum at the Hebrew Union College downtown is reopening to the public, and I know you serve as one of the leaders of that museum. And I was like, oh, this is so, even with all the challenges that like this museum's reopening, and I know, Phyllis, how much you care about it, so there's so much to live for, and there's so much ahead, and to have that joie de vivre is what I hope for all of us. Other thoughts here in the synagogue? How about on the Zoom call? Is there any other thoughts that Cynthia, you want to say? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of want to echo what Phyllis is saying and take it one step further. I think sometimes when I seem to remember bad things first rather than good, especially when I'm thinking about my childhood and where I lived. And this line here about when we left at dawn, the house began to fall apart, and since then the city, and since than the whole world. And I tend to dwell in the negative when I'm not in a good space spiritually, and I see everything going wrong in the world instead of looking at the positive. So I too really love how it ends on such a positive line and saying, well, wait, I want to focus on life. I want to live. I want to really live. I want to look at the positive. And for me, this is very inspirational.
Yeah, I love that tension in the poem as well, that, you know, that he has, and you articulated it so well, Cynthia, so thank you. All right, well, this is it. This is the work. This is the challenge that we're asked to do. I think we're lucky that we're part of a tradition that pushes us to do so, even if it's painful, even if it's hard, because the end goal is the end of the poem, is to like find a way forward into our lives where we can be our best, and we can engage with others at our best, and make our world more whole. So I wish us strength as we go into Slichot tonight, into a few more last days of Elul, and starting on Monday, September 6th, the beginning of a new Jewish year. We're going to conclude our prayers now, starting with the order of service. You can find it, the last prayer on the order of service, V'hashevota. Please rise.
V'hashevota el levavecha ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo echad.
We'll remain standing as we prepare to say Mourner's Kaddish. Before we do, I want to share a poem from our Siddur. You can follow it along if you'd like. Page 288. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known and loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. For love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. This Shabbat we name with love dear ones connected to our community who have died within the past 30 days. Robert Blum, Susan Dorfman, Peter Glosser, Barbara Goldberg, Michael B. Gordon, Carol Phillips Green, Gail Hoover, Arlene August, Ephraim Kamara, Morgan L. Miller, Jeffrey Newman, Rita Shane Richmond, Herbert S. Rosen, Judy Snook, and Alvin Zapersky. On the order of service from last night, our listed loved ones whose yahrzeits occur during the season. We know that some of you here today are remembering a loved one, and if you'd like to say their name out loud at this time, I'll invite you to do so. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for blessing. Page 294, the sacred words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad yivrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yomechon u'chayid chol beit Yisrael, v'hagala uzman kariv v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram b'yamar v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'ol kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'ol kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'ol kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen.
So nice to be together this Shabbat morning. As I mentioned, 9:15 tonight, you can join us online for our Slichot service. Highly recommended for so many reasons, including all the things we've been talking about today. And of course, the list of the high holiday services are on our website, and we hope as we get closer, you'll make plans to be with us for the new year. Jenna, I love the music that you bring to us, and the prayer and the spirit. Thank you so much for leading us in song this Shabbat morning. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Carlos and Will and our technical team and our building team and our security, all who allowed to make this possible for us to be together. We're going to close out with a song for Shabbat and blessings as well.
Yes, we sing V'shamru together. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And we sing together the blessing over the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
so nice to be
shalom.
together.